Hello and welcome back to Random Fandom, where we pick a team each week from our supercomputer. We follow them along, and so far we're pretty much a blessing. I'm Rob, an Arsenal fan, and as with me as always is John, our resident Scouser. Well, Liverpool fan anyway. How you doing, John?
Fantastic, sir. How are you?
I'm doing really well. You're there rocking all your Liverpool merch with your Anfield background. I've got my Emirates background here, but in anticipation of today's guest, got my
Look at
Swansea
that.
City half marathon shirt on because
That's
that's the only thing I had.
beautiful.
I'm not sure it's beautiful. I think you were saying you had a Swansea City shirt many moons ago.
Oh my gosh, I had an Andy McFarlane shirt bought for me by a bunch of Swansea fans. Yeah, Bec- I,
I had,
because he
I think
played as badly as I did, I think.
my brother-in-law bought me one off one of those dodgy sort of second-hand sites, and it was great until it went through the wash once, and then everything fell off it. So I don't have a Swansea City shirt anymore. But we tried our best, and we were blessing again because, as we'll get into talking to our guest in a minute, we drew them out of the hat on Tuesday, and they went and pulled it out the fire on Wednesday against Forest in the cup. So I think
That
it's us.
that's our victory. Embrace it. We must be like an 80% victory.
Yeah, we might want to just
It's,
like
in-
stop the season now because I
it's
think we're on
incredible.
a hell of a run. It's just downhill from here, isn't it? Before we get on to talking to him, you found him again. You're basically our guest agent. You're just secret agent John. How do you know this guy? Sounds like you guys go back quite a few years.
Well, Steve's actually my best mate in the entire world. So
Ah,
yeah, he was a friend of my brother's from school, um, and he was a passionate Liverpool fan at
yeah,
the
we'll hear
time.
about this when we talk to him. I can
And so
see,
we,
I
we
can,
went and watched the games. We went and watched the games. I won't say any more than that.
yeah, I
But
know, because
but
otherwise
great guy. Yeah.
yeah, it was a absolutely great chat, brilliant. We don't mention it, I don't think, in the recording because I think we said it before we started recording. But the first thing that struck me, because you didn't tee this up at all, so I had no clue. But as soon as his voice started speaking, I'm like, that is not a South Walian accent that's ringing true there. It's like so the whole story of how he ended up being a Swansea fan and where he's from. I think that was great. So maybe we should just shut up and just play the interview that we did with him. Sound like a
I
plan?
think so. Sounds a plan.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, last week the supercomputer drew Swansea City out of the hat, and John played a blinder and found us a guest. So let's find out who we're going to be speaking to. Fire up the crowd. Well, we know you're a Swansea fan, but let's answer the crowd. Who are you?
Yeah, so I'm Steve, and I've been a big Swansea City fan now for over 35 years.
Now, being married to a Welshwoman and having a brother-in-law and many, many Swansea City fans in my extended family, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's not a Welsh accent, Steve.
No, you're not the first person to point this out to me over the years. So the reason why I am a Swansea City fan is I went to Swansea University, and I went to my first home game back in 1990. So yeah, 35 years ago, and just fell in love with the club, just it was just one of those sort of incredible moments, really. Just sort of went along, just watch a game of football, sort of came out of the game and just thought, wow, love that. And I've been going ever since.
And that would have been the Vetch, right, back then, wouldn't it?
That would have been the old Vetch, yeah. Much lamented, unfortunately, long gone now.
Yeah, my brother-in-law took me to a couple of games there. I remember, and his uh, school friend in the same year as him was Jonathan Coates that used to play for the Swans. So like I had one of those surreal things: go to the game down the Vetch, watch the Swans. I think they were playing Oxford, won that game, and then at the pub later, we're sat next to Coatesy, and I had one of my embarrassing moments ever. I sort of fanboyed over a player that I didn't even know and asked him, "What was it like the first time you saw your face on a Panini sticker?"
Do you know what? He was a good player. I mean, I remember watching him. He was I think he was a winger, tricky little player. Yeah, great. I used to enjoy watching him down at the Vetch. So your fanboy sort of was well justified.
And so just what I was going to ask there is that what was that game? Do you remember that first game?
I do, yeah. So it was Birmingham City, and it was in the then third division, which is now the first division. Except all the divisions have changed now. It's hard to keep up with them, isn't it? But basically, it was in the third tier of the football pyramid. And we won 2-0. And Terry Connor scored two incredible goals. Actually, and the game is actually on YouTube highlights. So if you Google Swansea Birmingham 1990, you can see it. And yeah, he scored two cracking goals.
So Steve, I have to just say you had a club before Swansea, didn't you? Tell us about that.
So when I was growing up in London, I should have really been a Spurs fan because I was born literally, I was yards away from White Hart Lane. And if the rule of thumb is you've got to support a team, it's geographically as closest to your home as possible, that should have been me. And I think that should have been you as well, John, actually, if truth be told. But
That's
yeah, in the 80s, I was a bit of a glory boy and supported Liverpool for a while. Um,
that's how we became friends, wasn't it?
that is how we became friends. So I've known John a long, long time, and we used to go and watch Liverpool together. But I have to say, Swans now are very much my first love. And if Swansea played Liverpool, I wouldn't even think twice about who to support.
Good man, good man. So what we're saying is you caught the Liverpool affliction, but a good dosing of the vetch just kind of brought it right out of you and Swansea till I die, right?
Beautifully put, Rob. Absolutely spot on.
Sorry,
How
John.
does can I ask how does the Vetch compare to the Liberty Stadium where Swansea play now?
That's a great question. So I've got friends and people who sit around me because I've got a season ticket holder now, and they still really pine for the Vetch. It was a really old, dilapidated stadium, but it had so much charm and real, just real character. And the North Bank was just a fantastic place to stand and watch a game of football. Real loads of characters. Just brilliant. But we got to a point where if we didn't move on, I think we would have really gone backwards as a club, and we just had to expand and build a new stadium. And bizarrely, I've now been going to, it's now called the Swansea.com Stadium, which I hate, but most people refer to it as the Liberty still. And I've been now going to the Liberty longer than I actually went to the Vetch. So I'm sort of not in that camp, I definitely see the Liberty as home. I miss the Vetch, it had a charm, but it was of its time, and I really do love our new stadium. So, but good question.
So
I think,
hang on. So it was standing, right, when you were at the Vetch? Were you?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
how's
the
that?
vetch was a proper old school box, tight to the pitch. Toilets weren't toilets; they were just a gutter against a brick wall.
that's right.
It was proper what you would call grassroots stadium, and they just couldn't redevelop it where they were. Wasn't it like really close to the prison or something? They couldn't develop in situ, so they moved to a different location. It's a nice looking stadium, but like you say, it's just not quite that yeah, let's call it old charm, shall we, of those old stadiums. But it's okay. On this 35-year journey, we like to do a little kind of highest highs, lowest lows. It's always good to finish on a high. So, what's the biggest gut punch you've had following the Swans where you just look back and
Ooh.
go, oh, God, never want to go there again? And I won't
Yeah.
say it. I won't say you've got a few, but you've probably got a few.
There's a few. There's a few. I have to say the highs are probably higher than the lows in
Good.
terms of the amount I've had experience, which is quite quite good, really unlucky, isn't it? But I think the one that really got me was the 1997 playoff final at Wembley. Um, and we were playing Northampton Town. Jan Molby was our player manager. So there you go. John would wholeheartedly approve.
Fantastic.
And he started that game, played the whole game, as well as managing the team. And it was 0-0 right up until the end of the game, and then Northampton got a free kick in injury time, and they took the free kick, smashed it into the wall, and that was the end of the game. And then the ref blew up and said the free kick had to be retaken because one of the players had come out of the wall too quickly and had charged down the ball. Kick was retaken, top corner, whistle blowed, game over, and it was
Oh,
absolutely soul destroying. And we didn't go up, and yeah, I just remember walking out of Wembley that day, just fit, like you say, I felt like I'd been kicked in the guts. It was just absolutely horrendous.
Dear, oh dear. That's tough, huh? Wow.
and okay, so let's go to nicer things. And you've actually had a few. I mean, just like I say, I've got an affinity for Swansea just because the relatives. So I kind of am always keeping an eye on them. There's been the run to the Premier League and dining out at the top table for a few seasons and actually holding your own for a while before, you didn't just go up and yo-yo straight back down, cup finals. I think there was a running joke that Swansea had won a cup more recently than Spurs up until not too long ago, but unfortunately that one's over now. So anyway, that's a couple that come to my mind. What's your kind of euphoric, and you can pick a couple, it doesn't have to be one.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's been quite a few over the last few years. The one that really sticks in my mind, and I think a lot of this is got real affection for a lot of Swansea fans, was the 2011 playoff semi-final against Nottingham Forest. So it was two-leg semi-final to get to Wembley to get to the Premier League. And the first leg was away at Forest, and we had a man sent off, Neil Taylor, in the first like 5 minutes, and literally just desperately had to hang on for 90 minutes, and they battered us but didn't score. So it was 0-0 going into the second leg. And I just remember it was an evening game under the lights. And it was the atmosphere that night was just, I've never experienced anything like it since, really. There was just electricity in the air, you know. You could just feel it was a really special night. Um, and Leon Britton, who's one of our sort of club legends, scored an absolute worldie. So we went 1-0 up. And then we scored a second goal, went 2-1 up. And then they brought Robert Earnshaw, who's a bit of a Cardiff City legend. So, there was lots of booze off the bench. And he immediately scored. So it was 2-1. And then he hit the post. And it really looked like they were going to get that equaliser. They were pushing for it. And then it was we were into the sort of last minutes of the game. And they brought their goalkeeper up for a corner. And the ball came in and it got cleared. And our midfielder, Darren Pratley, sort of broke free, and he had the empty goal at his mercy, and defender sort of, on his shoulders, and just smashed it from, behind the halfway line straight into the empty net. And we won 3-1. And, everybody went onto the pitch. It's a special game when you go on the pitch. I've only ever been on the pitch twice in my life. And
Wow.
that was one of the times. And that was just brilliant. And then, obviously, then we got to Wembley, we won the playoff final and got to the Premier League. So, but that game really does hold massive affection in my heart. It was an incredible night of football.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that was a little bit bittersweet because the other team that I keep an eye on, Arsenal's the number one team, but the two that I keep an eye on, Swansea for the relatives, and Reading because that's where I went to university. So I used to go to Elm Park all the time before they moved to the Medeski. And I've been so when it was Swansea beat Reading, didn't they, in the final to go up
That's
to
right,
the
yeah, and
yeah.
that was
So
that was a brilliant game as well. I mean, that was a ding dong match, and at any point, either team could have won it really. So that would be up there as well. But yeah, there was something special about that semi final.
well, Jan Molby, John. I mean, didn't he
Oh,
make a career out of just basically standing still in the centre circle and just being a good passer? Because he couldn't run, could he?
he was unbelievable. But I mean, if you've got that passing range and you don't have to move, why move? He was what a player he was. What did you rate him as a manager then, Steve? Was
Well,
was he a good manager?
it was funny seeing him down there because obviously I'd seen him play for Liverpool with you. And then to see him right at the tail end of his career, playing in the lower leagues, but still absolutely amazing, still getting the ball and sort of pinging it on the outside of his foot 50 yards, to somebody. It was just brilliant to watch. And like Rob said, he had absolutely no pace, but he would just sort of wander around and just hit sort of worldy passes every sort of 5 seconds. It was brilliant to watch. And yeah, and I mean, he wasn't a bad manager. Got us to that playoff final. We played some pretty good stuff under him. So I look back on the Mulby years quite fondly.
Fantastic.
Nice. You and I share something in common in terms of both being Englishmen living in Cardiff. You currently live in Cardiff, right?
Yeah,
But
that's
which means
right.
you get you get the English, the Welsh love to abuse the English a little bit, but you might have a double whammy because you're an Englishman that supports Swansea living in Cardiff. How does that play out?
It's all right. I mean, I work with a lot of Cardiff City fans, so it's quite nice. We've had the upper hand over them quite a lot over the last few years. So I always seem to have the bragging rights the next day after we've played them and beaten them. Or last season they got relegated, so they're trying to get back up into the Championship this season. So actually, it's been all right.
Well, you've brought your son up to be a Swansea fan, haven't you, Steve? Which
I
is
have,
seems a
yeah.
bit like child abuse to me. But
Well, you're not the first person to say that, but actually, it's been one of the great joys for me taking him down there because we've been to some, we go away quite a bit as well, so we've been to loads of games together. I think I took him to his first game when he was 10.
This is Ben, right?
Um, so we've been sort of watching games now together for about 11 years, and actually, we had a fantastic game on Wednesday. I don't know if you saw, Rob, but there was a cup game this Wednesday, and again, it would be one of my euphoric moments. We were playing Premier League Nottingham Forest, 2-0 down at half time, and won the game 3-2 with 2 goals in injury time. To send the crowd into raptures. And I was there with my son watching that game, and you sort of come out of the ground and you think, this is why we love football.
well, you've actually got to thank Random Fandom for that, haven't they, Rob?
I mean, we've had this amazing run where every team we pick out of the hat to follow, they seem to win the very first game that we're following. So I think we recorded on Tuesday when we did the Wickham episode. We pulled Swansea out the hat, and it was either that night or the Wednesday night you were playing Forest. And I hadn't really paid much attention to it, if I'm honest, because the Champions League was going on at the same time. And then my brother-in-law kind of pinged me and was like, "Oh, great! You've seen the score." And I looked, and you guys were 2-0 down. So I made the obvious joke about, "Oh, Jesus," because I think he'd scored both the goals for Forest. Um, and it just looked like it was done and dusted. That's it. Ange Postecoglou going to come along. He's going to win a cup, like he always says he does. And then
A
again, I tuned
second
out.
second year though. Second year, Rob.
Oh, of course, yeah, second year
He's
trophy. Yeah,
got
maybe he was
another
going
year
to
to
up.
go. So
But
it's Swansea's year this year, and then Forest can win it next year, right?
but it's 68th minute, and I think was when you got one back.
That's right.
So it's 2-0. Basically, let's call it 20 minutes left on the clock, and you're like, well, the Premier League team's got this one, and it's who was it? The defender Burgess, wasn't he? Doesn't he pull one back at 68 minutes?
That's right. Header from a corner, really good header as well.
Classic centre back header. Um,
Absolutely.
and then I lost it now. They were
He
pretty
was
late, weren't they? The goals, the next
Yeah,
two.
so basically they then had about 3 absolute gilt edge chances. They missed three sitters. Hudson-Odoi missed an absolute sitter. And it just looked like they were going to win 2-1. And then, yeah, we scored in the 94th minute. So we've got this striker called Jan Vipotnik, who's on a real run at the moment. He's now scored 5 in 5. So he scored the equaliser. And then you just thought, oh, that's it. It's going to be penalties now. Everybody was just getting ready for penalties because it would have gone straight to penalties, the game. And then we've got this brilliant young midfielder called Ethan Galbraith. Remember the name because he's going to be a superstar. He's absolutely fantastic. And he hit a screamer from outside the box, rattled off the crossbar, fell to Burgess, and he just drilled the rebound in. And that was it. We won. Absolutely incredible game.
Well, I watched the extended highlights, and I was going to say the same thing about Galbraith. He stood out as an absolute quality player.
We're not going to have him for long, honestly. I mean, everybody's saying it. He's going to get snapped up in the summer. So I'm just enjoying him.
He had that run, didn't he, from his own penalty area?
Absolutely fantastic.
All the way
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Phenomenal.
Where does he rank in the Swansea legends then?
Well, this is his first season, so he's only been playing for us for a few weeks, but already he's racking up pretty much man of the matches every single game. And he just looks head and shoulders above everybody else. He's really, really good player.
Mm.
Question on that. So it's 2-2. It's the 97th minute, and you're locking in now, hoping for penalties. Your midfielder hits a speculative shot from 30 yards or whatever. What's your centre back doing that high up the pitch to put the rebound in off the bar? I mean, why is he not back there trying to seal it out for penalties? What's Burgess doing up there?
Absolutely no idea, but thank God he was there. I mean, to be fair, we were going for it. I mean, when we got the equaliser, it did seem to sort of buoy the team. So it wasn't like the team was sitting back waiting for penalties.
Ah,
They
okay.
they just they carried on attacking, which was great. But I think the fans were just thinking, well, this is going to be pens now.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
100%. Okay. So we kind of done the highs and the lows. We kind of like to reminisce about a couple of things, which is like any kind of favorite stories, moments, players from down the years of supporting them, and then we can kind of wrap up on thinking about this season, thoughts of what Swansea could expect to achieve this year. So, any little gems of stories or favorite players, or anywhere else you want to take us?
Well, I mean, favourite players, we've had I mean, since I've been supporting them in 1990, I would say there's three players that really stand out as club legends. Four, actually. So Leon Britton, who I mentioned, who probably is my favourite ever player to put on a Swansea shirt in the time I've been watching them. Just fantastic little midfield player. Galbraith actually has got shades of Leon Britton about him already. He's that sort of player, very similar. So yeah, Britain definitely would be probably number one. Then a player I'm sure you've heard of, Rob, Lee Trundle, who
What a
was
player.
just a legend at lower league level. I mean, he didn't have pace, but my God, he had skill. And he was doing things, in sort of League Two, League One that no other player could do. And there's a famous footage of the ball sort of rolling across the
Yes.
back of his shoulder, and he. I mean, I was once at a game where the goalkeeper kicked it out for a goal kick. Trundle was like nearer the halfway line than the penalty box. He chested it down and just volleyed it straight back over the goalkeeper's head. And that's the sort of stuff he could do. He's just unbelievable player. So yeah, he would be up
He
there.
he is an old school entertainer that and I'm really going to sound like a grumpy old man now, but coaching at the Premier League level now is just so kind of military precision that it's tactics, tactics, tactics that you don't see many players like that anymore that will just play for the fun of the game and just what can I do with the ball? What trick can I do? What can I pull off? Gazza obviously did it. He played with a smile on his face and tried all these outrageous things. But Trundle, yeah, I've seen many video clips of my brother-in-law sent me like the Lee Trundle's best moments, and there's loads of them. He just
Yeah.
did stupid things with the ball, and you don't get enough of those anymore.
And he's still involved with the club. I think he's like a club ambassador now. So you see him around and about at games, and he's just loved by the fans. And he seems to have taken the city to his heart, which is really, really, really great to see. Um, and then I suppose the other player, again, I'm sure somebody that you remember well, Michu. This was from our Premier League years. And again, no one had heard of him. We sort of signed him. I can't even remember what club we signed him from. It was some sort of lower league Spanish team, I think. And he just set the Premier League on fire that season. Just couldn't stop scoring. And again, had that brilliant sort of celebration, that goal celebration with the sort of cup thing that he used to do. And yeah, just a bit of a legend, really. So they would be the sort of big three for me.
You haven't mentioned Andy McFarlane. You tell the viewers about him.
Well, so Andy McFarlane, bless him, was a striker that played up front for Swansea while I was still at university. So this would been back in the early 90s. Let's just say he wasn't very good, but actually he is immortalised in Swansea folklore because he scored the winning goal in the Autoglass final at Wembley back in, I
Oh,
think it was around '94. So actually, good on you, Andy. You tried hard, and you were a legend on a every dog has his day, as they say, and that was definitely Andy's day.
Surprised you didn't, John. You didn't mention Joe Allen. Joe, he was a Swansea boy that came to a Swansea player that came to Liverpool, wasn't he?
Yeah, he came to Liverpool. He was a very distinctly average midfielder.
How
Or not,
dare
Oh,
you?
he wasn't
oh,
Jan Molby, let's put it that way. Yeah.
oh. And then I was having a quick look down. Well, I'd forgotten you'd had him, and then I saw kind of the stats on here. Record transfer fee received for a player was for Wilfred Boney from Manchester City, 25 million. Yeah, he was a pretty decent strike. He just never
Yeah, yeah, no,
one.
he was great. He kept us up definitely. The couple of seasons we had him scored loads of goals as well, like Michu. Yeah, was a very important player when the couple of seasons that we had him.
So as you kind of look across sort of the recent-ish seasons before we start focusing in, I think you where is it? Got relegated in 2018 from the Premier League, and then you've kind of you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but I don't know you've ever really made a serious run and getting back up again. I don't remember seeing any playoff
Well, we did
finals,
get
but
we did get to a playoff final.
oh, was it? When was that?
That was, I'm just trying to think. That was the year after COVID, I think. So it would have been around
Oh, okay.
2021. And it's a shame actually because we lost to Brentford in the final, and look what they've gone on to do. They went up that season. I mean, to be fair, they deserved it on the day and over the season. We scraped into the playoffs by the skin of our teeth. We had Steve Cooper as our manager then. We had some good players. Andre Ayew was probably our standout player that season. But yeah, I went to the final with my son, and we were never in the game. I mean, they just bossed it really from start to finish, and but it's just look what they've gone on to do. They've gone on to be a real sort of established Premier League team, and we've not really come close to getting to the playoffs since then.
You
Yeah,
mentioned Cooper there, Steve. I just wondered who your favorite manager is or was over the years, because you've had some great managers.
We really have. I mean, this is one of the things that Swansea just seem to pull out of the bag. Just, we've got the Midas touch with managers. I mean, we've had Roberto Martinez, we've had Brendan Rodgers, we've had Michael Laudrup, Steve Cooper, as you say, we had Graham Potter for a season before he joined Brighton. Um, and they're just the ones off the top of my head. So, we've got a bit of a track record. And our current manager, Alan Sheehan, really is doing some great work. You definitely feel like something special's happening at the moment. So, but of my favourite, it's got to be Brendan Rodgers, isn't it? Because he got us to the Premier League. I mean, this is the thing. When I started supporting Swansea, I just thought I'd be supporting a lower league team for the rest of my life. Because they were in the bottom two divisions, always yo-yoing between the bottom two divisions, and you know, I just didn't think they would ever make the Championship. And then Roberto Martinez got us up to the Championship, and then Rodgers took us up to the Premier League, and I mean, we really were getting nosebleeds at that point and pinching ourselves. It was just, um,
Especially
but
when you beat Liverpool 2-1, right?
yeah. Well,
That
do you
was
know what? We
painful.
we were we were 7 seasons in the Premier League, and we beat everybody apart from Spurs. They were the only team we didn't beat.
Wow.
But we beat everyone else over those 7 seasons.
That was
I
very
remember.
Spursy of you.
I just looking at you're right, Steve. Actually, Brentford were your bogey team. So 2019, 2020 lost in the semi-finals to Brentford, who obviously didn't go up that year because they came back the next year and beat you in the finals. So you lost out twice to Brentford. But you're right. Ever since then, you kind of didn't really bounce back the first season. You finished 10th. Then you had two attempts at the playoffs. And then ever since then, it's just sort of been mid-table obscurity, never really getting that close to the relegation fight, but not really being close enough to the playoffs. So as you sit here now in September with, I think when I checked, only a few points off the playoff spots, which, to be honest, in the championship, everybody's only a few points off the the playoff spot because it's such a close league. You're seventh at the moment, a point behind Coventry. What's your hopes as you look for the rest of the season? What do you think is? Let's do head and heart. What do you, in your heart, believe can happen? What does your head say probably will happen over the season?
Yeah, well, we've just had the best transfer window we've had since we got relegated. Swansea do transfer windows really, really badly, and it's been a constant source of frustration to the fans over the years. I mean, our January transfer windows are spectacularly bad, often culminating in absolutely no signings at all. So this season, I'm not quite sure what's happened. I don't know whether it's the involvement of Snoop Dogg as our co-owner, but they've obviously found some money from somewhere and really splashed the cash. And we've got a new sort of recruitment team in as well. So not only have we sort of bought a lot of players in, but they all seem to be pretty good quality. And I think there's a real feeling of sort of optimism and expectation around the ground that I haven't really experienced down there for a long, long time. So I think Hart is sort of saying we can do the playoffs this season, definitely. With the players we've got, if they all play to their potential and Sheehan can get the sort of machine purring, I think we can do it. Head, I don't know, we do tend to sort of be the nearly men. So I could see us being maybe one or two places off the playoffs, but I'd love to think we could do it this year. We've certainly got the best squad that I think we've had for a long, long time.
Championship's always you need a little bit of luck, the right time. It's you'll tend to get, won't you, like one, maybe the two teams that are going to run away and probably be the automatic spots. And then that playoff journey just seems to be open for the majority of the season. And I think like I have no stats. I haven't actually looked into this. I'm just going to make this up out of fresh air. But it also feels like whoever finishes third very rarely goes up. It's usually the one that scrapes into like the
Yeah,
bottom of the playoffs that.
if you find some form coming into the last 10 games, then, if you manage to get in the playoffs, then yeah, you could be threatening.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And I think the season we did go up through the playoffs, we didn't finish third that season. So, I think your theory is spot on, Rob.
Are you going to go up to the away day to Wrexham and see if you can meet Ryan Reynolds?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I don't care about meeting Ryan Reynolds, but I'm really looking forward to that game.
Can I ask a
I
question on Ryan Reynolds?
Go
So,
on.
so they obviously have done a documentary and they're there and they're making good inroads into the club by their very presence. How is Snoop Dogg comparing to that? Is he staying well behind the scenes? You've talked a little bit about the money being injected, but tell us about that.
Well, at the moment, yeah, I don't think he's been to a game yet. But he's all over the stadium. They've actually painted a big mural of him on in the sort of concourse to the West Stand because I sit in the East Stand normally, but I was in the West Stand for the cup game before Forest, and there's this huge Snoop mural which sort of took me a bit by surprise. Um, and his son came to the game a few weeks back and was handing out like hoodies, Snoop hoodies to people, and so I think the rumor is that he's going to come to his first game when we're at home to Wrexham in December. So we'll have to see how it all pans out. But yeah, I'd say at the moment he's keeping a fairly low profile. I mean, his involvement with the club was sort of revealed when we announced our club shirt, and he was the person that sort of unveiled the new shirt on his social media feeds, which
Wow.
sort of took everybody by surprise. It is so random, isn't it? And then of course we've got Luka Modric as well as a
Yeah.
co-owner. So
Who
so
would ever
which
have paired those two up together?
yeah. So
Strange.
at
Snoop
the,
mod, Snoop mod.
so it's so funny because at the start now of every game, you've got all the kids on the touchline waving these huge flags. You've got all like legendary ex-players, and then there's a Snoop flag and a Modric flag as well, which just beggars belief, really.
And by the way, did you say that your first game when you saw Swans, did you say it was Birmingham?
Birmingham, yeah,
And that's who you're playing tomorrow, isn't it? In a clash of small worlds all coming together.
we are, yeah, yeah.
Well, we will be keeping an eye on those. Time is creeping up on us. So any last questions for Steve John before we kind of put this one to bed?
No, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Steve. Um, yeah, good luck for the rest of the season.
Cheers, John. No, I've really enjoyed it. Any excuse to talk Swans is always most welcome.
Well, we will be following. Well, technically, we followed them on midweek, and that counts as us.
That was our win.
Yet again, being a blessing. We'll keep an eye on the Birmingham game tomorrow, but we do need to quickly fire up the supercomputer to find out who the next team's going to be on Random Fandom. So, Steve, if you know any friends that support the team that's about to come out, then send them our way. You can tell them what a great time you had and how amazing it is to come on. Okay, right. Are you ready, everyone? Here we go. Okay, and the answer is, we're staying in the championship. Any guesses?
Oh, Birmingham. That would be a good one.
That really would be
That
small
would be
world
very
syndrome.
confusing for the weekend.
First Swansea game, yeah, that would. Who would we follow tomorrow? Swansea or Birmingham? No. Come on, one more guess.
Go on, Steve.
Let's go Coventry.
Yes, it is, and
No
I just
way.
mentioned them that they're one place above you in the league. We got to find ourselves a Coventry fan over the next couple of weeks.
I know a Coventry fan.
Oh, you know everybody.
Al-
You know a Barrow fan living in the US. This is ridiculous. The people that you know.
Alan Huff. Alan Huff is a friend. He's a Coventry fan and he lives in America. I don't know. Maybe.
You
maybe.
have to tap him up. Anyway,
or try someone else. Who knows?
Anyway, we have to quickly thank Steve. So thanks for coming on and doing this, Steve. It was brilliant to meet you. Up the Swans, Jack Army and all that. And have a good one.
It's been a pleasure.